Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another storytime video. This storytime I got for you guys is going to be insane, so don't forget to like the video. And without further ado, I'm kind of recording the storytime as like a cautionary tale to myself as well. The story just happened like 15-20 minutes ago. It's currently 1 a.m. I'm sitting in a car in the middle of nowhere, so I guess I should just start from the beginning. So this happened today. After school, after a long, boring day of school, my friend Bryce and I are walking back home. We're walking side by side, talking about whatever nonsense we could come up with. And we reach my house, so he's like, "Alright, I'll see you later. Don't forget, don't be late tonight." And then he leaves, and then I just go back home and basically do some homework, some school assignments for like 3 hours. Is what I want to say, but I actually end up procrastinating on my phone for a few hours. Some Clash Royale, some TikTok, some YouTube Shorts, some Uma Musume, and then I try to go back to my work, but I just couldn't bring myself to focus because I already procrastinated for so long, right? I already wasted like 5 hours scrolling through YouTube Shorts, so I might as well just keep going. And I'm like, tomorrow's the day I will lock in. So a few more hours pass. The sky begins to darken. I'm just scrolling, and then I got a text from Bryce, and he's like, he's like, "Yo, I'm outside your house, ready to drive us to school." So I close my laptop, containing half a written sentence on an empty Google Doc. I grab my phone, my keys, my jacket, and yeah, I just head out the door. I see Bryce's car. He's like parked right outside my house. I speed walk towards his car. And as I approach him, I notice like he's already in costume. Obviously it's Halloween, right? So he's sporting the classic Scream mask with the black hoodie. I'm like, I don't need to explain it because I know all of y'all know what the Scream mask is. So I'm like, "Yo, did you bring the cans?" I ask him, and then he motions his hands towards the back of the car, which has like a black duffel bag sitting on the back seat. And he's like, "I got the orange, the black, and the yellow, but the red sold out." Okay, so for some context, I probably should have explained this earlier, but we're actually planning on spray painting graffiti around the school while everyone's distracted by like the commotion of the Halloween party, because it's our senior year, and this is our like attempt to do one like final grand big prank before we leave for good, just to leave something for everyone to remember us by, right? And looking back on it, it's like obviously a stupid idea, but it is what it is. So before he begins to drive, he takes off his mask, and like I sneak a quick glance at him, like just to make sure that it's actually Bryce, because like, what if it's just some random person underneath the mask? Dream. Okay, so we're driving, and mind you, we're like 15 minutes away from the school. We're a 15-minute drive away, but because there's so many like trick-or-treaters walking around the street, like crossing, like in front of cars and stuff, he's like, it's gonna take 45 minutes, unless he takes an alternate route through a street that cuts inside, like a forest, because our neighborhood's like next to a forest, and if he takes that route, it'll take only 30 minutes. So I'm like, let's do it, and then we go. So around like 10 minutes into our drive, we enter the forest, which has like a street light every like 40 or 50 feet. So it's pretty much like we're driving in the dark, except every few moments there's like a flash of light. It's like a checkpoint basically. So I've actually never taken this roundabout way to school through this empty forest. I ask him, how much longer is it gonna take? And he's like, it'll only be like 20 more minutes. So I check my phone, and it says it's 7:20 p.m. 20 minutes go by, and then I'm about to ask him again how much longer, because we can't be late if we're gonna try to pull off this stunt, right? This final prank. And just then, I hear a notification on my phone. I look down and it's a message from Bryce. So I'm like, I look at Bryce to my left and he's got both hands on the steering wheel. So I think, oh, it's probably just a text that got delayed because I always leave my phone on airplane mode and that sometimes happens. But then I look down at my phone, I actually read the text and it says, yo, where are you at? It's already 7:40. I'm waiting outside your door. We should have left by now. And at this point, I'm just completely confused. Like, I'm thinking, is this a prank? Did someone take his phone and decide to prank me? So I'm about to tell Bryce that I got a text from his phone and that someone probably stole it from him and decided to trick us. But before I do so, I text him back, or I text whoever has this phone back. I'm like, who is this? How do you have Bryce's phone? And a few seconds later, I get a text back saying, like, stop trolling, we're already late. I'm about to go by myself if you don't show up. So I reply to him saying, like, Bryce, if this is really you, and you're actually waiting outside my house right now, send a picture of yourself doing the Willem Dafoe face, and I'll Venmo you $50 right now, no questions asked. And about a minute later, I didn't receive a photo, but a whole 8-second video clip of the person that I personally know as Bryce doing the entire Willem Dafoe. Like his tongue was swinging in the air and all that. Standing on my own front lawn with my house in the background of the video. And then he sent a text saying, send the 50 right now. So at this point, I'm like completely like bewildered. I've never actually said that word before out loud, but unless Bryce found someone that looks exactly like him to camp in front of my house while we're driving to the school party, the man in the video was Bryce. And the only other explanation that like I could come up with was that he somehow predicted that I would ask him for a video of him doing the Willem Dafoe in front of my house at night. But like, let's be real, not even Faker would be able to like anticipate that. So I turn my phone off, obviously without sending the 50, and I just sit still for like an hour in complete like confusion. Like, who is this person sitting next to me? Is he Bryce? Or is the person in the video Bryce? Should I confront him about this? And why are we still driving? Because it's already been like 30 minutes. We should have arrived at the school by now. And looking out the window, I have absolutely no idea where I am. So we're driving alone on this road. There's no other car in sight. There's very few street lights, and we're in a dense forest. So after a while, I just decide I can't just sit here doing nothing anymore. I have to do something. So I decided to ask him a question. I asked him, do you remember the plan? And then he goes, yeah, of course. So then I say, can you run it by me just one more time, just so we don't forget? And he's like, nah, we won't forget. And at this point, I just decided to flat out ask him, where are we going? And do you know what those spray paint cans in the back are for? And then when I ask him this, he just sits there just saying nothing. And then I ask him, what's my name? But as I ask him this, he pulls out a knife from the glove compartment that looks like it came out of like some horror movie. And just like 100% pure instinct, I reach over, I grab the steering wheel, and I pull it with all my force towards me. And the last thing I remember is the sound of the cartwheel screeching as it gets wrapped around a tree. And that was like 30 minutes ago. I regained consciousness, and for a second I forgot where I was. But I look to my side, and it looks like he's still unconscious. So I checked my phone, and now it's 8:20 p.m. I decide to record this like little video, this little story time, just to keep a record of what just happened, because it feels like my memories are starting to fade. The weirdest part about this entire thing is that when I woke up, I found myself in the driver's seat. Even weirder is that the unconscious body next to me isn't even Bryce, but it's mine. I arrive at my lab to see my time machine in shambles. Pieces of it are strewn across the room. The metal is charred. But why? I could never get the thing to work, but suddenly blowing up without someone tinkering with it is unusual. I've told everyone not to touch it when I'm not around. Why can't they ever follow such simple instructions? Maybe Jack did something. I should ask Hit. I hear a scream from the room neighboring mine. In this building there are 6 researchers working under me. And there's Jack, the intern. I peer through the window of the door to see Jack yawning as he stretches his back. A knife is in his hand. The bodies of 2 of my researchers are on the floor. A pool of blood beneath grows below Jack's feet. Say something else, Sam demands. He slouches to the floor. I'm sorry, I just lost my temper. I'll see you 2 again, just 45 more minutes. I run into a neighboring room. What was that? Did he just... Oh god. Jack was talking as if he could go back in time, but the device isn't intact right now, so how? Did he try to do something to it? If he set the modulator to... Oh, I get it. It was set to send the object back in time 2 hours. The device must have been sent back in time, but when receiving him in the past, the device couldn't handle the energy, so it exploded. But if he knows that he's going to be sent back again, then it must not be his first time. When he activated the device, its effects must have lingered. Whenever he reaches that 2-hour mark, he's being sent back in time. In other words, he's in a time loop, and there's 45 minutes left in those 2 hours. But it's not just resetting time. The device creates alternate timelines, at least that's what I was trying to do with it. Jack doesn't know that. I've tried teaching him and all the researchers about this before, but none of them could ever follow my lectures. He must think that when the time loop resets, it resets for everyone. That has to be it. Another scream. It's from 2 doors down. I have to stop him. Even if he goes back in time, the rest of us will still keep living in this timeline. I go towards where that scream came from. If I tell Jack that we will keep living here, he'll stop this, right? But what if he doesn't? The exit to the building is to my right and the scream came from the room to my left. I could just leave now. If I wait 45 minutes, he'll be gone. Another scream. That's 4 now. 2 more people are still here with him. I can't leave them. I can fix this. I can't believe none of the researchers could piece it together. One of them could have just told him. If anyone had just listened to me, we wouldn't be in this mess. I go into the room. Jack is crouched over the body of a researcher, staring at it. I can't see his face from this angle. Jack, stop. You're in a time loop, aren't you? Is that why you're doing this? 'Cause time will just reset anyways? Well, it won't. The device is just sending you to alternate timelines. The rest of us will remain in this one, even after you leave. Jack stays there for a moment, then turns his head to look at me. A pained look on his face. He opens his mouth, and what follows is the worst thing that could possibly have happened. He just says 2 words. I know. It happened around this time last year, about 11 months ago. I went on a trip, backpacking through halfway across the state at some national park that I can't even remember the name of. Usually, I'm not the sort of person to shy away from taking an adventure, even if it meant hours upon hours of grueling physical activity, just to make it from one public shelter to the next. But this time, something just felt different. Maybe it was due to winter rapidly approaching, and that area had been known to get dangerously cold when the sun went down, or the recent increase of bear sightings reported from the local park rangers, but something was giving me a bad feeling. It was as if some weird impending doom was looming over my head or something, causing me to question my every action and analyze any potential consequence. I was almost paranoid. My 2 friends and I began our journey at dawn at the entrance of the park with the intention of making it some public shelter we had heard about up in the mountains. Nothing strange about it, just some random structure up in the mountains with the goal of helping any stranded hiker weather the elements overnight. For some reason, regardless of my cautious emotional state, I didn't even question it. The only foreseeable problem was actually making it over there. Over 12 straight hours of backpacking through the mountains had started to chip away at us. Next thing we knew, the sun was starting to set and we were still miles out from the shelter. Exhausted, hungry, and cold, the 3 of us were starting to get desperate and started looking for the nearest cave or rock formation that we could use as shelter, knowing it wouldn't be nearly enough for us to survive the dropping temperature. For the next hour, every step off the beaten path started to get us increasingly lost within the mountains. All of a sudden, nothing in sight was familiar. We had officially gotten lost, and the sun was gone. With only the light of the crescent moon to guide our way, and the sounds of wolves howling in the distance, the 3 of us started to panic as we could feel our muscles start to sting from the cold. Nothing in our years of experience camping and hiking had prepared us for this challenge. Every step forward was another step away from our destination, riddled with potential dangers at any turn. Just when everything started to seem hopeless, the light at the end of the tunnel appeared, saving us from despair. A cabin had appeared. Normally, I would have been hesitant to break and enter, but given the circumstances, we all agreed it wasn't worth dying outside in the cold. We cautiously approached the front door, only to realize that the front door was mysteriously left unlocked. Seeing this instantly signaled every alarm bell in my brain, but in the heat of the moment, I pushed forward. Not wanting to overstay any unwanted welcome, the three of us placed our things by the door and opted to stay just in the living room to sleep. I remember thinking to ourselves, how for the most part, the cabin itself seemed pretty normal. Nothing out of place or ominous enough to make us more concerned than we already were. To be honest, I think we were all feeling relieved just to be out of the cold. It was only until we had turned the lights out did I start to really get a look around. I don't even know how I had missed it, but seemingly every wall in the room was covered in almost lifelike paintings of seemingly animals. Normally that would have been fine, I thought to myself, as this is probably just some guy's hunting cabin in the middle of the forest, and hey, he just likes to remember the animals he shot. But these paintings seemed off. The more I stared into their eyes, the more I realized what I was looking at. Each of the paintings depicted a frightening image of an animal in an outlandish pose, yet they looked almost lifelike, like their eyes were staring right back at me. Regardless, in the moment, I remember not thinking too much of it and ended up passing out from exhaustion. Morning came around 6 hours later, the sun shining directly into my eyes. We made it through the night and we were safe. That's all that mattered. We quickly got up and backed our supplies up to make sure we trespassed as little as possible. My friends were already out the door while I was rolling up my sleeping bag. But as I was finishing up, I decided to take one final look around the room around me. The room that had miraculously given us shelter last night. At that moment, it didn't hit me. I didn't see a single one of those paintings from last night. All I noticed were huge, transparent windows in their places. Cold, tired, and over it, the three of us set off on our journey back to the car to go home. But the whole walk back, I kept thinking about what I saw, or what I didn't see. We ended up making it back home safely, but the three of us never talked about it again. The end.